Russian troops intensify attacks and use heavy artillery. The enemy is shelling the entire territory of the Luhansk region. 2 people were killed under fire in Lysychansk, 3 more were wounded. However, the most difficult situation is in Severodonetsk. There, the enemy managed to advance deep into the city. Street fighting continues there. The day before, in the Luhansk region, the Russian occupiers fired at an evacuation vehicle. As a result of the shelling, French journalist was killed.
The evacuation has been officially stopped. Our armored evacuation vehicle was on its way to pick up 10 people from the region and came under enemy fire. Shell fragments pierced the armor of the car, and accredited French journalist preparing a material about evacuation was fatally wounded in the neck, and a patrol policeman was saved by a helmet. Serhiy Haidai, head of the Luhansk region military administration.
Russian troops also hit the Donetsk region. At least 3 people were killed and 4 more wounded in an overnight missile attack on Slavyansk. A school and several apartment buildings were damaged. Rescue efforts continue at the site of the rubble. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry reports that fighting in the east has reached maximum intensity. The occupying forces are firing along the entire contact line. They are simultaneously conducting an assault in several directions.
Russian occupying forces do not stop conducting offensive actions in the eastern operational zone in order to establish full control over the territory of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, to ensure the stability of the land corridor from the Rostov region to the Autonomous Republic of Crimea, and to block the maritime communications of Ukraine in the northwestern part of the Black Sea.
Russian troops continue to use banned weapons. In the Sumy region, they used prohibited artillery shells filled with flechettes. The steel rods flew to the Shostakinsky district. Russian invaders are attempting to advance on the eastern communities of the Zaporizhia region using artillery, missile and airstrikes along the contact line. According to the head of the regional military administration, the enemy is destroying civilian infrastructure.
The Russians are trying to conduct an offensive on the eastern communities of our region. Artillery, air and missile strikes are being carried out along the contact line. Today, Orikhiv and Grigorivka have suffered greatly, with civilian infrastructure, residential buildings and educational institutions damaged. The Russian invaders continue to redeploy their troops. More than 50 units of outdated tank models, T-62 and T-72B, were delivered to the Zaporizhia region. Alexander Staruch, head of the Zaporizhia Regional Military Administration.
Russian troops continue to attack the Mykolaiv region as well. They shelled residential areas of Mykolaiv several times. At least 10 buildings were damaged. 1 shell hit a private house. A man was wounded. Explosions rang out all night in the city.
Twice a pair of Mi-24 helicopters struck on our positions at the Mykolaiv region. In particular, at the settlements that are in the rear of our units, were shelled by the enemy with Pion long-range artillery and Grad multiple rocket launchers 3 times.
Meanwhile, in the long-suffering city of Mariupol, the Kremlin occupiers are actively issuing Russian passports to local residents. This means that the occupation of the city has moved to an active stage, Petron Drushenko, advisor to the mayor of Mariupol, stated.
To do this, Mariupol residents must first obtain a certificate of registration in Donetsk and then submit documents for a passport in Novozovsk to the so-called Migration Service of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic. Given the state of communication with Donetsk, this is a bit problematic for now, but we can state that the occupation of Mariupol by Russia has moved to the next stage of implementation. Active. Petron Drushenko, advisor to the mayor of Mariupol.
At the same time, the Russian army continues to suffer significant losses in fighting in Ukraine. Servicemen of the armed forces of Ukraine launched a counter-offensive and liberated the village of Mykolaiv-Kherson region. According to the General Staff, this led to panic among other units of the Russian troops.
The Russian occupiers continue to suffer casualties on Ukrainian territory, which leads to a further decrease in the moral and psychological state. There is a constant increase in the number of enemy personnel who are somehow trying to avoid combat operations.
In general, the total combat losses among the Russian occupiers amounted to more than 30,300 people. The largest losses of the enemy over the past 24 hours were observed in the Zaporizhia direction. Reported by Marina Stepanenko, Mariana Kretschet, UATV News.
Yeah.